Let's start the engines.
All right. And we're just so thankful for all of you that are joining us for the broadcast this evening. And we're going to be using kind of a template of Willem McLeod's book, The Nephilim and Unholy Brood Book 2, which I've just been very, very impressed with his research. And we have went over this material before in various broadcasts. Not many people talk about the Sethian Gnostics. And Mr. McLeod has a good understanding of the material and just what it means and the spiritual impact to it. So we're going to set the table here and give a little explanation about what Sethian Gnosticism is, what its basic precepts is. And as we do this, you're going to see, wow, this is just what we got going on now. And not just upon the left, but these things are creeping into the so-called remnant community, the so-called Hebrew root movement. You can see a lot of these things that are really coming right from this source. Now, I want to read something that Mr. McLeod said. This is on page 411 and of his book. And this gets the basic doctrine and the understanding of what these people believe. And he says here, at the basis of the Sethians' teaching was a hierarchical duality between God and his demiurgic angel. These Jews distinguished between God and the demiurge creator. Now, basically what they said, and in the Nag Hammadi text, the demiurge is called Yaldabaoth, who is understood to be Satan. And basically what these Gnostics believe is that there is God and that there is Satan. And they believe that Satan, or as he's called, the demiurge or Yaldabaoth, was the actual creator of the physical universe. Therefore, in Gnosticism, they have the understanding that physical matter is bad and the spiritual is good. Therefore, they say that no matter how much you indulge the flesh, it won't affect you spiritually. And we see elements of that thinking spill over, even much to the shame of modern so-called Christianity, that no sin you commit in the flesh will ever affect your eternal destiny in the spirit. And he goes on to say, it says, these Gnostics, however, demonized the demiurge and even identified him with Satan. In their view, God is good, but the demiurge as well as the material world created by him are evil. And it goes so far as to actually say that this evil God was the creator of the good God. Now, this just gets totally wonky, and this just gets to what we might think is totally crazy, but this is what these people believe. And we need to understand that as we're going to see this is the basic capstone of their understanding and their doctrine of God, between the good God and the demiurge, the bad God, and the real creator God, who's the bad guy. And we're going to see how this foundational concept springboards into other things, and how these things expanded and have filtered down in time to the religion of Sodom, as we could very well say. Now, we'll read here from the Nag Hammadi scriptures. And as we have reiterated over and over again, these are 100% spiritually toxic. These things are obviously, to anyone that has the Spirit of God in them, they are so evil, they are so obscene, they are so totally calling evil good and good evil, that I don't see how anybody with the Spirit of God in them could be fooled by it. And indeed, that would be hard to see. Yet these things are packaged with a fancy wrapper, and they're peddled among so-called Hebrew root groups and remnant groups, and they're gobbled up by a lot of people that should really know better. Now, I'll read here from, this is the Nag Hammadi Codices. This is from one of the books in it called On the Origin of the World. And it says this. It says, since the chief creator, Yaldabaoth, had great authorities at his disposal, He created beautiful heavens by the means of his word, as dwelling places for each of his sons, and in each heaven he created great glories, and 7 times glorious. And the Creator in this mindset is not the good God, but the evil one. And of course, Mr. Yaldabaoth is androgynous. And in another broadcast, we went back to the ancient Babylonian exorcism text, which stated that these original entities that lived in the deep, that they were androgynous, and the Babylonians traced their spiritual origins from these entities, these water spirits. And it says here from the same writing on page 208, since death was androgynous, he had sex with himself and produced 7 androgynous children. Now, that's just very offensive and hard to even think about. It's like they present the Creator as like some kind of a cosmic earthworm that's androgynous and can literally, disgustingly have sex with himself and create 7 other androgynous beings. But androgyny is cool now. You know, there's a spirit that makes androgyny cool. There's a spirit that mocks and ridicules the tradition man-woman sexuality. We all know this. And this has its origin back here. It has the origin in this spirituality that we could very well call, rightly so, the religion of Sodom. And I want to be very clear, so I will not be misunderstood what me and John are saying. We understand there's only one God. There is one God. He is righteous, he is true, and he is holy. And this presentation that's put forth by the Gnostics, and we're going to follow this concept that it is totally satanic, it's totally wrong. But yet we're going to see how this very mentality is taking root and it's spreading in this original, what we're going to very rightly see before we're done, as the religion of Sodom. Now, from the secret book of John, I'll read one more thing concerning this, and this is where it says Yaldabaoth defiles Eve, and we're going to have more to say about this later. But it says this first ruler, Yaldabaoth, who was the evil creator god, it said he defiled Eve and produced in her 2 sons, a first and a second, Elohim and Yahweh. And literally, these people teach that the evil god, a.k.a. the demiurge or Yaldabaoth, was the creator of the good God. And there's another concept here we're going to pick up later on, that of what is modernly called the serpent seed doctrine. This is the origin of this serpent seed doctrine, which many people really just are, it's one of their hobby horse doctrines. They just love to spread this and harp about it and argue about it. And this is one of their foundational principles, that the evil God creates the good God by having sex with Eve. So we're going to be showing how that ties back in later, but this is an absolute, obviously, we shouldn't have to say that, but this is just absolutely a dark satanic concept. Now, this idea that God is created, you know, I mean, how crazy is that to think, you know, in our Bibles we read, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth, and now they're saying, well, that guy was created by this guy. You know, that's really insanity. But this is actually what is taught in the Kaballah. In the Kaballah, in the Zohar, there's a book here that says it all too well, the Zohar, annotated and explained by Daniel Matt. And on chapter 3 in this book is entitled The Creation of God. Yes, the creation of God. So instead of God being the creator, just like in the Nag Hammadi codices, where we have Yaldabaoth, the evil god, creating a sexual act, impregnating Eve. And we just see here also a lot of affinities with Mormonism, where God is someone that seeks intercourse with women. And of course, we know who it was seeking the intercourse with human women. That was the fallen angels. That's not the holy creator God. But actually, there's a chapter here that is called The Creation of God, and it says, King God, the infinite Ein Sof. And in the Kabbalah and in the Zohar, this entity that created God is called the Ein Sof. And here's one of the many things that makes this so difficult to follow is they hide this in layers and layers of gobbledygook throughout time. And Yaldabaoth is now Ein Sof, but it's the same supposed entity that creates the God. I mean, it's just absolute insanity. But it says here on page 12 of this book, it says, for the Zohar, therefore, the opening words of Genesis mean, with beginning, the ineffable source created God. So we're totally on our head there. We're totally on our head. And people need to understand. So many people, they're told that these Kabbalistic texts, well, this is Jewish wisdom. It's going to give you spirituality. Well, it will give you spirituality, but it's not the kind you want. And also, there's a lot of people out there that are wanting to take these Nag Hammadi codices and put lipstick on the pig, so to speak, and feed you this as some kind of an exalted spirituality. I think that anyone with the Spirit of God in them, you're going to get it just like this. This is just not a little bit off. This is really evil. And this is indeed the source of the spirituality we're seeing shoved down our throat right now.